Can you hear me good?
Oh yeah.
Shit.
The gang's all here. Different location, different setup. Jace, care to explain where you are?
Well, I'm back home. You know, unfortunately, I had to leave the Days State headquarters, so I came home a little bit for an early Easter weekend, and you know, we're still gonna make it work though. Still making it happen.
Yeah, so his stream quality might be a little off, but audio should come in pretty clearly. We're working with what we can get. But yeah, we're here. We're pumping out content. Johnson?
That's right.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. We're going to make it there. How's everyone's week been? Jace, you're already home. It's early. Nate?
Normal week.
Not so normal week.
Not normal.
Not so normal. Had my first ever surgery yesterday. It was quite the experience. But we're in recovery. That's why I didn't pump out content. But
Anesthesia scares me.
anesthesia does it. It'll knock you right out. That's no joke. Yeah, I was scared at first until I was asleep, and then I woke up.
That's the movie line. That is. I'm not even kidding.
From what movie?
That's
Pull up the freaking app.
That's No Country for Old Men. And then I woke up. That's the last line in that movie.
I was scared until I fell asleep.
No, not scared until I fell.
Oh.
And then he goes. He just has a long realization and goes. And then I woke up. And the movie ends.
Freaking Joe Don Baker.
Tommy Lee Jones.
What's
Almost Joe Don Baker.
Why do I think it's Joe Don Baker?
Similar.
Was he in that movie or no?
I think so.
I always want to have more of an intro, but Frank, let's get right into it. Nate, take it away.
Field of Dreams. One of the all-time classics. The greatest baseball movie ever made.
Wow.
Hot take.
We can get into
my
it.
dad's favorite movie. Might be your dad's favorite movie.
My dad loves it. We used to have a little tape. What do you call those things?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Put.
Yeah.
What are those things called?
VCR, I don't know.
Oh yeah, VHS.
VHS. Almost.
Wow. We are
Okay.
we are another generation, aren't we?
When you think of movies to watch on Father's Day with your dad, this movie comes to your brain. There's not a whole lot of Father's Day movies, really. I thought about this one day.
Daddy's Home.
Okay, list them. There's not a ton.
Daddy's Home.
There's one.
Daddy's Home 2.
That's one. The second one's a Christmas movie.
What'd you say, Jace?
Daddy Daycare.
Maybe. It's movies about a great dad. What movies have a great dad in them? There's not a ton. Or not even a great dad, a movie about dads and how to be a good dad.
Paul Blart.
Jones.
Kind of.
Osmosis Jones.
Kind of. I immediately thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2. If you go on Marvel route. That is a good dad movie.
That one was a heartbreaker.
But I don't think there's a ton. And Field of Dreams is number one on that list for me.
Yeah.
It is, it feels old, but it also feels whimsical. It's supposed to. It's supposed to seem kind of dreamlike.
It feels old, but it feels almost like timeless as well.
Absolutely.
Like, not really something that could ever really get old. Especially like, man, I don't know. Like I love like dad movies and stuff like that. So this one really, really kind of got to me. And it's kind of interesting how it did it, because like it started off like about a dad, and then it went through like this whole process of like you don't really know what the purpose is, they don't really know what they're doing, and then it all comes back around to.
You're taking words out of my mouth right now. Let's go. I literally picked this movie because I thought it'd be a great movie to discuss, because not only is it a movie where you can have thoughts about it, like you can think about the movie where it doesn't like specifically tell you what it's about, but it also it's a movie about the unspoken things in life is how I like to think about it. It's a movie about things you don't normally talk about. You could kind of think about it like that. It's a movie that people don't really know how to describe. If you ask about it, they'll say, oh, that's a great movie. Love that movie. But they don't really know how to describe it to you. And I have a lot of movies like that. And Field of Dreams is a movie where I've watched it so many times now, I feel like I kind of have, and getting older in life, I feel like I have the words to describe it a little better. So
Yeah,
I'd love to try.
I don't know where I'd start. Probably it's about this guy that builds a baseball field.
My whole plan, if I was going to lead this discussion, was like to run through the movie how I view it now after seeing it so many times.
Interesting.
So is that what we should do? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I did want to say, if people, before watching it again, if people ask me if I've seen this movie, I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme of things, I didn't remember how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
All I really remembered is the daughter falling off of the bleachers.
Yeah.
I remember
That's
that.
so random.
I remember that scene so vividly. So vividly. But yes, continue.
I was going to ask who you thought the best acting performance in this was.
I really liked the wife's performance, which is very strange.
Okay. I think it's Ray Liotta.
Really?
Because
I think so too.
he plays such a good person from the 19-teens. He plays an old baseball player so well. Like, he doesn't like act like this chum. Like, he's like, hey buddy. He doesn't act like that to Kevin Costner. Like, he's kind of a jerk. He's really brash. He's like, hey, like, I'm here.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of there. And then he's kind of a jerk. And he makes fun of Ty Cobb at one point. It's not even in the movie. And these little things. You're like, oh, he plays a baseball player from 100 years ago really well.
Yeah. See, I was thinking about that. I was like, he's acting strange, but how would I act in a scenario where
doesn't have a ton of words to say.
Yeah.
But like, sees the world in a unique perspective.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree, and I knew he was in it, but I again got reminded of it.
Seeing him, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, after like stuff like that he's recently been in, like I saw him in like Killing Them Softly.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently watched that, and like I saw him and I was like, wow, like he's kind of old. And then I saw him in Cocaine Bear. It's like, dude, he's freaking. Like, he was old. Like, he wasn't like
he's been around a while.
Guy. But yeah, it was crazy to see him. Like, see how young he was. Like, see how young.
Kevin Costner too. I mean.
Yeah, the writing for Kevin Costner was very strange to me. Very 80s-ish.
Yeah, for sure. They even go off the rails at one point because it's not supposed to feel 80s, but it does.
Yeah.
I think that's a mistake. Because at one point they start playing 80s rock songs. I was like, oh, this doesn't really fit to me,
Yeah.
Like when they're on the road with James Earl Jones, they're playing like 80s rock. I was like, come on, man! Like this is not supposed to feel like the 80s.
Yeah.
But whatever, I still love it. So Kevin Costner, he just sent so many like legendary stuff, and like specifically baseball movies. Like he's in Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, and he is For the Love of the Game, which is a really underrated baseball movie. I don't know, just a dude obviously loves baseball.
Yeah. Yeah.
So respect to him.
Respect. I do. What's his name?
Ray Kinsella.
Ray, and what's his wife's name?
Annie. It's either Ann or Annie.
JC?
I think it's Annie.
It's Annie.
Annie. Their relationship is slept on. They have like a very, very good. I was watching it and I was like, this is what I'm aiming for.
Bro, that relationship appeals to a male so much. It's basically like, hey, listen, wife, I'm gonna build a baseball field and then go to Boston and leave you for a month and then let you deal with all the bills and let you deal with all the farm.
Okay, but
that is not a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay,
very
but
true.
If you had that scenario, like where she sees it too, it's not all in your own head. She's witnessing it too. I feel like that's what I'd expect. Especially if you're religious, like.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to discuss this movie. So like I was going to go chronologically throughout the movie, so I can't wait because I want y'all to interject whenever. So.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, he was kind of treating her bad, but at the same time, this is unprecedented. We have no idea how any of us would, or anybody that we know would react in this scenario. So that's why I'm like.
But she's portrayed as very like accepting, loving.
Yeah, she's very open. She's open-minded, and I would be the same way too if you came to me with this outlandish story and it was proven. I'd be like, let's put all our money into this because.
Yeah.
It's got to be there for a reason. So yeah, let's keep moving along chronologically.
Okay. All right. Let's So I'll kind of do a video essay in the form of I'm just going to recite the movie and how I see it. So I like to title it like a subtitle. Instead of Field of Dreams, I would title it more A Man's Search for Life's Answers. Because it's really a male movie. It's of course women can enjoy it, but it's a movie directed at men. I mean, it's trying to emotionally manipulate you, like at the end. You know, it's trying to get you to cry about your dad.
Yeah.
And it gets me, so it's really, it's trying to get you to feel a certain way because you're a male. And I respect it, but like that's what it's trying to do. So that's what I'd subtitle it. And the movie starts with Ray Kinsella describing his dad's life and how that leads into his life. So he describes his dad as like a very normal guy from a small town, goes off to World War I, comes back and tries to be a baseball player. And he does that for a couple of years, but it doesn't work out. He eventually moves from Chicago, where Joe Jackson was his favorite player, to New York, where he becomes a Yankees fan, meets a girl, settles down, and has Kevin Costner, Ray Kinsella, his son, when he's like in his 50s. So he's an older guy. Yeah. And his wife dies when Ray is 3 years old, so he raises a kid by himself. And then Ray describes that he wasn't raised on like nursery rhymes, he was raised on baseball stories. And you know, his father did the best he could, per se, but it wasn't the same. He needed a mother in his life, he didn't have one. And he said, he describes his father as like being an old man when he met him. Like he never knew him when he was young or hopeful. He only knew him as like an old, hardened guy who had the life sucked out of him. Because he lives a tough life. You know, he works at the stockyards, he's a war veteran. His dreams were crushed when he was young. His wife died, you know, right after his son was born, relatively. So, and then Ray describes that he was raised on baseball, but he gets to be a teenager and starts to reject his dad, because that's what all teenagers do. And when he gets to be 17, he says, I'm going to go to UC, I'm going to go to Berkeley, I'm going to like reject my father, move across the country, go to some hippie school where my dad hates, and I'm going to leave. And he never looks back. And so he goes to Berkeley. He says, I was really an English major, but really I was just smoking weed. Like he wasn't doing anything important there. He gets a useless degree. He meets a girl, gets married, doesn't like her family either, but she's from Iowa, so they move to Iowa, and on a whim he just kind of becomes a farmer, just because that's what's available to him. And he has a kid, and now he wraps up the intro monologue with this sentence: my name's Ray Kinsella, I'm 36 years old, and I'm about to become a farmer, and I've never done a dangerous thing in my life. Which I think is a great introduction to this movie, because he set the whole premise up. I'm a normal guy who doesn't do anything abnormal. But like and on the first watch you'd never think this, but now seeing it so many times, I view that as is Ray really is about to go through a midlife crisis. He's reached middle age and he doesn't have any purpose in his life anymore. He's got to the point where he has everything he like directly wants. He has a wife and a kid and a house and a job, but like he doesn't have any passion to live anymore. You know, he doesn't have family. He doesn't have connections to the past. He doesn't have his wife's connection to the past. All he has is himself, his wife, his kid, and his useless job that he doesn't really like, which is a fine life, but he doesn't see any real beauty in it. You know, and like I said, at first you would never really notice that. But you get to throughout the movie. And then that immediately comes in with Ray hearing the voice. And the voice I kind of view as just like a movie-fied version of like a sign. You know, right. He gets a sign, he gets a calling. This version in the movie, it's a literal calling to build a baseball field. If you build it, he will come. So when he's told to build this baseball field, his wife's like, are you crazy? And he has to explain it to her. And the way he explains how he needs to build a baseball field is because he's going through a midlife crisis. He says, I'm 36 years old and I'm turning into my father, is what he says. I've never done anything exciting with my life, and I need to do this now. I don't know why exactly, but I need to do something crazy so I can get it out of my system and become an old man. And then maybe I can reconcile with becoming my father because I did that one exciting thing. That's how he views it, and his wife said, that makes sense. So go ahead and do it. It might cost us a ton of money, it might ruin us financially, but go ahead, do it. Like, have your midlife crisis. So he does it, he builds the field, and when you're watching building fields, you get the story of Joe Jackson, which is a metaphor. And so he tells you a story about Joe Jackson, his father's favorite player, and by extension, his own favorite player.
Right.
So Joe Jackson's story is one of tragedy. He's presented as Babe Ruth with the personality of like a Nolan Ryan, of someone who just like loves the game, just wants to go out there and compete night in and night out, just because he loves to do it. He goes, when you meet Joe Jackson, he says, I would have played this for nothing. Yeah. I would have played for free. I just loved everything about it. Just the game itself. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the fame. I just want to play. With the greatness of that, though, he makes a mistake that cost him forever. He's booted from the game, never allowed to play again. And then Ray wraps up that story by telling him, my father's favorite memory of him was this, I saw him one time playing when he was old under a fake name. He had a beard. He was fat. He didn't have the same speed, but he still hit. And Ray's smiling when he tells his wife the story. She's like, that's the first time I've ever seen you smile when talking about your dad. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. And you learn after watching a couple times, this is Ray's only connection to the past. Ray's only connection to the past is baseball. And everyone's got to be connected to the past some way, like whether that's through your religion or through your history, like your family history, or where you live, or what your profession. You have to be connected to the past. You can't just be yourself. You have to be somebody in a long line of somebody else's. And Ray's not at all. He doesn't really have any close friends. He has no family. From what you can tell, he like doesn't go to like a church. He's not involved in my community. Like he just kind of lives by himself. And this is his only connection to anything else in his life is baseball. So it's important to him, even though he's just like a casual fan, you could say. And then any thoughts on that so far? I mean,
I did. Midlife crisis did bring up something in my head. I was having a conversation with a couple of older people, some of my parents' friends the other day, and they were all talking about how midlife crisis, people impulsively buy like a new nice watch or like a brand new car, and it's like how people say midlife crisis is not, it's like it happens to everyone, but you know, you really do see it in one form or another. It was like getting a new dog, or like, so midlife crisis, maybe all your kids are moved out, you want a puppy to take care of again. So that came up in my head. I didn't even think about that whenever I was watching the movie, but
that's like a rational explanation on why he'd do that.
Oh yeah.
So his wife, it makes sense that his wife would originally accept it.
Yeah. And I can relate with like a feeling of you know, like I'm waiting on something, or I need to do something. You know, I kind of feel that in my life now, like maybe leaning towards finding a career or a job. Like I'm waiting for like that calling, you know, that whisper in my ear, like this is what you need to do, and this is what you enjoy. Field. Exactly, build that baseball field.
So he builds the field. He waits. It looks like he waits a year, because it looks like he finishes in the summer. Christmas passes, and it's summer again, because baseball's back on the TV. So it seems like he's waited a long time, just looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
And finally, Joe Jackson appears, and a team appears, and you know, his wife and his daughter are like, oh, they see it too, so they're like on board all of a sudden, and they're like, oh, I understand why you built this. I can see why your passion was there, because there's something special here. So when the next couple of days, when they watch the practices of the games or whatever of these old ball players, which are like a metaphor for his father's tragic life of like missed opportunity, I guess you could say, or mistakes that have garnered in some sort of loss. Ray Kinsella is very like ignorantly bliss. Like he's so happy. The whole time he's watching this game, he's just smiling. And his brother-in-law comes. It's like, and he's like, what's the line? You're gonna lose the house, Ray. And then his wife goes, or no, he goes, how can I lose something so big? Like he's laughing about like going under, you know? He's laughing about dying financially. Because he's like, I don't care. I get to watch this great baseball game for a couple more weeks, months, days, you know? And he doesn't care. He's like, this is how I'm going to become an old man. I'm going to become an old man by doing something incredibly risky, but incredibly fun, and then I get rewarded for it. That's how he views it. But all of that comes tumbling down when he gets another message in his ear saying ease his pain. And he's immediately angry. He's like, are you kidding me? There's more I have to look for? Like, this is not just like a reward for myself. This isn't like this isn't just something I can be happy about. This isn't something I can just rest easy. No, it's not that. You have to go find more answers that don't make any sense. You have to go do more with this like dream. So he does, and he gets told to go find Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann an author, a political activist, someone who worked alongside Martin Luther King in this story, and Bobby Kennedy, and like important political people.
And he's not a real person.
No, he's not a real person. But someone who is a figurehead, I guess, and someone who represents something larger than life, I guess you could say. And he's a hermit now. He lives on his own. He's not in the public eye. He wants to be left alone. And so Kevin Costner has to go to Boston, and he goes to Boston, finds Terrence Mann. You know, you see some funny stuff happen because it's, you know, James Earl Jones is screaming at Kevin Costner, and Kevin Costner's like fake kidnapping him. So you get some comedic relief in there. But he has to convince. They take him to a baseball game, and then some crazy stuff happens, and all of a sudden James Earl Jones is like, I'm curious, I'm down, I'm involved now. And for some reason, this random fella is now involved in Ray Kinsella's story, which honestly, like, the story's kind of split off. You have like Ray Kinsella's story, which I want to kind of focus on, and then we could totally talk about James Earl Jones, Terrence Mann's story, which is kind of a different avenue. But we can talk about that too if y'all want to. But Ray Kinsella brings James Earl Jones. A part of me wants to think he's just kind of there because he's James Earl Jones and he's awesome and he's great and he has a great voice, and that speech he makes at the end of the movie is just killer.
Yeah.
So that might be just part of it, why he's in this movie. But I think there is a separate storyline for him. But the movie is mainly about Ray Kinsella. So their next message is they got to go to Minnesota. And when they go to Minnesota, they have to find this doctor named Moonlight Graham. And they find him, he's dead. He's been dead a long time. And he was a doctor. He's like the greatest guy ever. He's never did a thing wrong. He's just the sweetest old man possible. And they learn all about him. They literally learn a whole afternoon about him, just asking the other old people around town, like, what was this guy like? And he's like, oh, he's the best guy ever.
And that reminded me of Bernie.
Yes, Bernie. I mean, great mention right there. Yeah, Bernie's a great movie. He's actor for that reason, because they name such specific things about him. And so that's pretty interesting. But then at nighttime, Ray's out walking and he sees Doc Graham, like in the flesh, like I guess it's a ghost, but he sees him in a vision or whatever. He goes and sees him. He talks to him, has this whole conversation, and he describes his baseball career to Ray Kinsella. He says that he would been in the minors for years. He gets called up the last 2 weeks of the season for a team that's not going to make the playoffs. In the last game, they're killing the other team, so they're not going to play at the bottom of the ninth. And on the last game of the season, like, go play right field in the top of the ninth inning, and the ball doesn't get hit to him, and the game's over because they're not going to play at the bottom of the ninth. So that was his whole. Like, technically, he never played in a baseball game because he didn't get an AB. Like, he almost technically achieved his dream of playing in the major league, but not really. So he describes it as a stranger brushing past you. Like, my dream's like a stranger brushing past you in a crowd and you never saw him again. And then another line of straight, like, at the time you think there'll be other days, but that was the only day.
Yeah.
Like, that like really hits you. That, I mean, that's tough to hear. Like, your dream is there will be other days, but that was the only day. That was the only time you'll ever see your dream, and it was a stranger just kind of brushed past you that one time, and you never saw him again.
Yeah.
So that's an emotional line. And Kevin Costner's like outraged. She's like, I can't believe you. I can't believe that you went to be a doctor after that. That's most people would view that as a tragedy of life, that you were so close to touching your dreams and you just didn't do it. And it's like, well, I've done great things. He's lived this great life. He's served a lot of people. He's got lots of friends. He's connected to history. He's what Ray Kinsella is not.
Yeah.
He has connections. He has a wife and kids. And, well, Ray Kinsella does too, but he seems to be more interconnected with his community, way more than Ray Kinsella is. He probably has a great relationship with his family, unlike Ray Kinsella. So Ray Kinsella asked him what his dream is. And he goes, well, I would have loved to have that one AB. I would have loved to stare down a pitcher. I would have loved to stretch a double into a triple. Like, very specific baseball things. And it just makes you, like, kind of smile.
Yeah.
And Ray's like, I can make your dreams come true. And, you know, he says, no, I'm not going to go with you. Like, and he's like, okay. So they turn around, he doesn't go with them. And then they pick him up on the road, the young version of him, played by Frank Whaley.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, just this little guy, and they pick him up on the road. It's like, hey, I'm here to go play baseball. Like, it's the 1800s or something. And he's like, okay, man. So he goes with him, and on the ride back, you learn a lot about Ray with James Earl Jones in their conversation. He tells Terrence Mann that when he was 17, he told his father this terrible thing, and he never saw him again.
Yeah.
He never got to apologize. His dad never saw his wife. His dad never met his granddaughter. His dad just kind of died alone, never hearing from his son again because his son didn't know how to reach out.
Right.
He didn't know how to apologize for the terrible things he said, and then left, and then all the time he'd been gone, because that was their relationship. And he asked him about the terrible thing he said was like, I can't respect a man whose hero was a criminal. Talking about Joe Jackson,
right.
And Ray obviously Ray doesn't believe that. So like the last thing he ever said to his father was a lie that hurt his father, and then he never talked to him again, and then he dies alone. So it's like this terrible, tragic ending to his father's life, but also his own, like with his relationship with his father. So he has this eternal guilt, and Terrence Mann looks over at him and says, "This is your penance. Your penance meaning that this is your punishment. You are paying back your debt to your father by being such, a jerk, an idiot, and a stupid kid, and your mission right here, where this voice in your head makes you do all this weird and irrational stuff. You're doing this because it's like a payback to what you did to your father." And at first, Ray's like, "Okay, all right," and he makes his father's heroes come back from the dead, or he gives this perfect guy an opportunity to achieve his dream.
Right.
So they get back to Iowa, they watch some more baseball, and this is kind of sitting with Ray like, this is why I'm doing this? It's punishment? Really? And that just doesn't sit right with him. And then you have this whole statement of his brother-in-law coming back and like saying, "You're gonna lose the farm, Ray," and the little girl chokes and falls. And then you have the James Earl Jones baseball speech about how great baseball is, which is a killer speech, one of my favorite like monologues in a movie. And then so Archie Graham gets his at bat. He hits a sac fly. He winks at the pitcher.
Right.
He gets congratulated by all the legends, and then he helps the little girl, and then he goes back like he's gone. And he gets congratulated by all the players, like, "You did good," is what Joe Jackson says to him, and it's kind of a heartwarming moment.
That part was awesome.
Yeah.
That was, other than the ending, that's probably one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great. He walks off. He's just kind of sad, but like Joe Jackson, one of the greatest players of all time, says, "You did good," and he's like, "Thank you," and he just walks off.
But also he said, as an old man, he was saying whenever Kevin Costner was like, "Why didn't you want to achieve your dream? You missed out, blah blah blah." He was like, "Yeah, but I wouldn't have had these 50 years as a doctor."
Yeah.
And
He got both.
yeah, and he got both, but then also like his true self came out as the kid version, because he was like, "Okay, well, I got my moment. I'm arguing more than I ever bargained for. Now let me go be a good person again."
Yeah.
Or the person I am again.
For sure.
Which was really a full circle moment.
So then, after the baseball monologue, per se, you have the moment of the game ends, and they invite Terrence Mann in the corn. And that's you could have a whole podcast on like what that means.
Yeah.
But
let's get into it after it.
Yeah, sure. And Ray Kinsella is mad. So why do I like?
Yeah.
He views it as answers. What's out in the corn is the answer, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what's in the corn. So whatever is out there is answers, and that's what he wants. Are the answers to life. What are the secrets that y'all aren't telling me? And Terrence Mann is going to be granted this. Someone who just joined the story, it feels like, and Ray's not. Ray's going to be stuck in the dark, and he's mad. He's like, "I deserve to know the answers. I deserve to go out there." And Joe's like, "You did this for yourself? Like that? You did this because you want your own answers?
Yeah.
Like, I think you should stay here, Ray." That's what he says. Kind of this haunting voice. And Terrence Mann's like, "Okay." He goes off into the corn, and he like smiles and laughs and goes, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But then as Joe Jackson leaves, he says, "It was you." And it's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And then Ray's like, "What?" He's like, "If you build it, he will come." It's like, what? Like, it was you. And he's still like, what in the world? I didn't understand that first couple times I watched it.
I don't understand.
So I view that now as the whole time Ray viewed this as he had to do things for other people, right? And that was plaguing him. It was like, why do I have to keep doing things for other people? Why do I have to build it so someone else will come? Why do I have to ease someone else's pain? Why do I have to go find someone in Minnesota? Like, he doesn't like this punishment aspect. He doesn't like how he's being punished. That's what he thinks right now. And then Joe Jackson tells him in this really disguised language, like, it's not clear what he means, but like what I take from it is Joe Jackson telling him, it's like, no, you did this for yourself. Like, you did this Like if you build it, he will come is in reference to you.
Right.
Ease his pain, we're referring to you.
Yeah.
That you didn't know it, but you needed this. You didn't know it, but you needed this journey. You didn't know it, like the unspoken things of life I mentioned, these are the unspoken things. You didn't know it, but you needed this journey. You didn't know it, but you needed these answers. You didn't know it, you needed this passion in life because you didn't have any. You needed this midlife crisis. This is for you. And Ray's like super confused. What do you mean? I thought this was my punishment. Joe walks off, and all of a sudden, standing there at home plate is his dad.
Yeah.
But not the old version of his dad, the young version of his dad. That is significant. That is significant because Ray has never met this version of his dad. He talked about it at the beginning. I never saw my dad like this. I don't know the young, hopeful, energetic version of my dad. I don't know who that is. So he's given a new perspective. He's given a perspective that he's older than his own father. So in this new perspective, he's immediately realized that, oh wait, my father once had dreams. Oh wait, my father once had a passion. My father once was like me. And he's granted this new vision of the world that gives him a sense of clarity. And not only that, he gets to talk to him. So he introduces his wife and daughter to his dad briefly, and that like kind of eases his pain of my dad never met them. My dad died alone without ever knowing them. And then he gets to talk to him, and it seems like a while because at first it's sunny, and then when at the end of their conversation the sun is set.
Yeah.
So they're walking around this beautiful baseball field in a beautiful sunset, and John can tell his dad, ask him a question like, "Is this heaven?" Which is one of the iconic lines of the movie. And Ray responds like, "No, it's Iowa." But, you know, this is a great response, but like that's not the response he's looking for.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, I could have sworn it was heaven." And then Ray asks him a question. He says, "Is there a heaven?" And how I interpret that is like, are there answers out there? He's asking basically what's in the corn. What's the secret to life is the question. And John, his dad, goes, "Oh yeah, it's where dreams come true." And his dad mistaking Ray's home for heaven signifies that like Ray's dad approves of him. Think about that for a second. Like if your dad was on your property when you're an older guy, and he's like, "This is heaven," would that not like show you a sense that your father's proud of you?
Yeah.
If he like said that your life was like a slice of heaven.
Definitely.
So it again eases his pain that my dad approves of me. My dad like approves of how I'm living right now. That I'm not a failure. And he's like, my dad views my life as heaven. And he looks around and like on the movie, like you watch Ray Kinsella like take a full 180 of his life. And you watch the baseball field, you see the sunset, you see his dad, then he pans up to his house. And his house is like perfectly lit up. His wife and daughter are swinging on the porch. It like looks like heaven. It looks like the greatest thing of all time. Even, you know, he doesn't live in a mansion. He just lives in a normal house, but it like looks spectacular. Yeah. And he like looks up, he like smiles and he goes, "Yeah, maybe this is heaven." Like he's like, and his realization, his reward for following all these instructions, for following his passion, his reward for it is a realization that he's living the dream. His reward is the realization that his life is, while not like perfect, his life is heaven, and that he needs to live it. And he needs to stop, like he needs to pursue his passions, and to pursue love, and to pursue loving his family, and to pursue loving the community he lives in and the beautiful place he lives in.
And just live in the moment.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's a perfect live in the moment. It's because a lot of movies I feel like have the live in the moment sense to them. This one has it by far. I love that moment of this movie where it's just like he looks around and he's just smiling. He's like, "Maybe this is heaven." And then that's not even the last moment. The last moment, his dad's walking away and he like his voice cracks and he's like, "Hey dad, you want to have a catch?" Which is just like the ultimate male moment, like that makes you want to cry. But then like his dad's like, "Yeah," like, and they hadn't acknowledged that they were father or son yet, so that's kind of a little bit of it that makes you cry a little bit. And they have a cat. It's like the ultimate, the final ease his pain moment. That Ray's pain is being eased because he gets to have a catch with his father. That all his eternal guilt in life has been resolved, and that now he can live his life to the fullest in the moment instead of in the past. And that is the story of Ray Kinsella searching for life's answers.
Wow.
But then what about all the cars?
That's okay. That has to do with the James Earl Jones side of things and like baseball in itself. So do we want to go into that now?
Well, okay. I have a couple of things that I want to talk
Okay,
about.
go ahead. I haven't talked too long.
First of all, like the whole driving force of this movie is a voice that we don't know who it belongs to that shows up at random times, right? Do we ever figure out like where that driving force comes from? Like, what is that? Where is that coming from?
I mean, technically no, but you have to assume that it's, like I said, a sign of his own passion. You know, like it's a literal sign given to him in life. Like
I had like an idea that it was like at the end of the movie. I had an idea that it was like his dad talking to him.
Okay. I've thought before when Joe Jackson repeats the line, "If you build it, he will come," I was like, that kind of sounds like the voice. And I've thought before that it could be Ray Liotta's voice the whole time. Just kind of like messed with a little bit, like electronically. But I mean, it could be Joe Jackson. I don't know.
Well, also you can think about like if you put yourself in a cave and deprive yourself from basic life necessities, you're gonna go a little crazy. You might start hallucinating, hearing voices. Maybe that was the point of life that Ray was in.
Yeah.
That like he just
Starved for passion.
Yeah.
Just kind of lives life on a whim.
Yeah. Stuck in a lull.
Yeah, I mean, he decided to, like his whole career, his whole job, as a farmer. He's like, I'll be a farmer.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like that's not a way to live life.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a temporary thing.
Yeah.
And so he's like waiting for
Yeah.
you know, for that calling to build the field, you know?
Yeah, it's like just like that. He's waiting for this.
Right.
And it's like he's waited so long, he's 36 now, that it comes to him in a physical voice that he hears.
Yeah.
And not just like a thought in the back of his mind. You know, because like to us, something we want to do, like we want to do this podcast, it came to us in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
This literally comes to him as a voice he hears. So.
Yeah, makes it interesting.
And what about whenever Annie's brother, sister, and mom can't see
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
the baseball players? It totally gave me like the vibe of like, you know how in the Polar Express,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in Santa, then you can't hear the bell ring.
It's the same.
Like the same thing, and like I just didn't get it. So like at the end of the movie, it's like the brother-in-law could see the baseball players then, but like what did the brother-in-law do to like change? Because I feel like he didn't change. The baseball like him seeing the baseball players is what changed him, and like what changed like his whole point of view of no, you should keep the farm. But that was after he saw the players. Like he like up until he saw the players on the field, he was completely like, you guys are crazy. You need to sell this place. You don't have the money to keep it. Like, and then he saw the players, and his mindset completely changed. So like, what changed?
I can't give you a technical answer, but I can give you the answer of the director's point of view. He's trying to make Ray look as crazy as possible to outsiders. Like there has to be skin in the game. If there's no risk involved, like the risk is Ray follows the voice and loses his house, or he doesn't follow the voice and keeps his house. So like there has to be a risk involved. If there's no risk, there's no reason to have this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the risk, that he's crazy, he doesn't have the money, and he'll lose his house and his reputation if he follows his voice. And that's what he does. And then I guess his brother-in-law being able to see the players at the end of the movie is kind of like the distinction of the risk has been resolved, sort of.
Yeah.
That there's really no more risk because he's listened to this prophecy so long, prophecy you could call it, that people will come, you know, like people are going to come pay to come here, which is the baseball side of things that we can get into now, I guess.
Well, you can also look at that from a logistic point of view, where like the ghosts are out in the field, but once they cross, they can't go back. And Moonlight Graham crossed,
Sure.
So from the brother-in-law's point of view, I assume that he just saw someone like emerge, like kind of how you emerge into the cornfield.
Could be.
So, and then after that, he had no other choice. I mean, to
see what was in front of him?
just to see it, because I mean,
I see that.
Again, like with the whole "if you believe, you'll see it" kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But that kind of got forced upon him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, all right, well, now I see everything.
And part of it's supposed to be like a whimsical, dream-like movie because it's called Field of Dreams. You know,
Right.
It's not a perfectly realistic movie. It's part of it's supposed to be pretty whimsical. So
Yeah, on Google it's listed as a fantasy.
yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, it's about a bunch of ghosts, I guess, in a
Yeah.
way.
I will say at the end, I was fully expecting there to be like another 45 minutes. I knew the runtime, but it flew by,
Yeah.
and
It does go by really
I
fast.
wanted to see them play. I wanted to see them play baseball more. You know, I wanted to.
Very true. Like for a baseball, because there are some movies that feature sports that aren't sports movies.
Uh-huh.
This is a baseball movie that hardly features any baseball.
Right. Yeah, and it was just like kind of our payoff was to be able to see maybe more of him and his dad's connection, or maybe his
Yeah.
dad playing and like watching.
The payoff to this is to have your emotions manipulated.
Yeah.
Is James Earl Jones, hey, if you're a baseball fan and you listen to that James Earl Jones monologue of why baseball is the best,
Yeah.
that gets me going. And if you played catch with your dad at one point,
Oh yeah.
that's going to get you going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. After watching this, I'm like, wow, I regret not,
Yeah.
doing anything I could to keep playing. And again, it did, father time is always coming. So thinking about my dad having catch with my dad, it's not crazy old, but like there's some point where you're not gonna have the opportunity to throw a baseball with your dad or your brother or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Sister.
I think it's very interesting though, because most sports movies end on like the
Team
rewarding
winning.
part. Yeah, the team winning. And it's like that's the emotional rewarding part, is having like a victory of some
Right.
sort. And this is not that at all. This is just kind of like a realization.
It's
Really.
a field of dreams.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. I mean, it's a dream. It's waking up from a dream almost.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to James Earl Jones' side of the story, what you were gonna say, does that involve like what's beyond the cornfield, or should we talk about that?
Not really. The what's beyond the cornfield is a little bit is what I just view as like the answer to life, but the answer to life is not like a set thing. So it's really, to me, it's Ray's realization that he's living the dream, that he has to live in the moment. That's what's in the cornfield for him. And for James Earl Jones, it's going to be something different. And I mean, I can go into that. So that's what we go into next.
I'm asking from like a more logical
Perspective.
because these ghosts are real in the movie. But like, what are they going to in the cornfield? Are they going back to heaven? Are they
Purgatory?
just, like,
I don't know.
Are they just like playing cards, smoking cigs back there?
I mean, you have to imagine, like, if you want to approach it from a logical perspective, you would have to imagine that Archie Graham would be going to heaven, right? Because
Right.
Archie Graham's like this great guy.
Yeah.
And then the what they call the Black Sox, the 8 players who are suspended from baseball are viewed as like bad guys of history, so they would probably be going to some sort of purgatory, right? So logically, I guess that's how you think of it, unless you would assume that like ghosts aren't dead in a way, or like they're dead but like they're still remaining on Earth. If that's how you want to view ghosts, so therefore like they're not going anywhere. They're just kind of
They're just lingering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go down the pathway, James
Okay.
Earl Jones path.
Terrence Mann, like I already described, he is someone who works with Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy. He is an important political figure, and this his whole life he spent doing this. His whole life has been providing answers to other people. He provided answers to Ray Kinsella when he was young, and that caused him to rebel from his dad. He caused a lot of people, like he talked about like the hippies. He gave answers to hippies who went and destroyed their lives and either blame him or still searching to him for answers, like view him as like a god. So Terrence Mann cannot take it anymore. He quits public life, he quits writing. He's like, I just need to like live by myself, be a hermit. He tries to still like help the world, because I think Ray describes it as like what he does now as like something with children, like he does something nice for children or something. But he's trying to like repay his own debt to society, because he views his life's work and it's a tragedy. Like Ray kind of like views his relationship with his father as a tragedy. His life's work has like led him to destruction. Not only does it destruct other people's lives, like Ray's or like the hippies, but like it just, his whole life's work of like providing other people's answers has been a big failure, because Martin Luther King's dead, Bobby Kennedy is dead, Terrence Mann is old and lonely, so like his life is a big failure to him, and he's not like this, he has no passion, just like Ray kind of. So he gets invited to this great journey, he's involved, and he describes on the way back to Iowa, he's like, I understand everyone's purpose here but mine, I don't understand why I'm here. And he gets to watch the baseball game, and he's like inspired by it. Like you can tell he's a baseball fan, and he lies to Ray that he wasn't a baseball fan. And when he first meets him, at the end of the movie, he's like, "No, I lie. Like I do like it." Like it's kind of a weird. It's like, "Oh, I do like baseball." You don't learn much about it, but what you do know is that he's very. Everything he says is like a poem. He's obviously a writer. Like that's his character. And James Earl Jones reads like his voice is like he's Darth Vader. He is the guy. He's like the Morgan Freeman before Morgan Freeman. So his voice is so powerful that everything he says sounds like this great book.
Camera died. We're back.
Terrence Mann views his life as a failure. Failure, right?
Correct.
Political activist. We already covered all that. So when he's joins with Ray Kinsella and he's on this marvelous journey, he doesn't understand his reason why he's in this band with Ray Kinsella. He doesn't understand why he's been invited by The Voice. But when he gets to Iowa, he learns, he admits to it, he does like baseball. His purpose in life is kind of reinvigorated because this baseball field has kind of reignited his passion for life. No longer he's like a hermit living by himself. He is now giving this grand baseball speech about why baseball is important not only to people but to America as like a larger population. And he's describing about how this field is going to save Ray's farm, how people will come, and all these people will come and watch the baseball game, and they'll pay $20 to see it, and they'll have memories so thick they'll have to brush them away from their faces. So, and that whole speech, that amazing speech, I think. And James Earl Jones, right after that, is invited out to the corn. So it's almost like he is invited to poignantly describe baseball. And this not only gives him because his whole life, like I said, he views it as a failure. So this like end point of his life is not only like re-inspiring him to write again per se, but it's also re-inspiring him to love something again. You could say that his whole life he's been focused on the wrong thing. His whole life he's been focused on politics and power and fame and important things that happen in the world, like in that part of the world, like politics. But what's really important is basically what the movie's saying is baseball. What's important is baseball, not only because it's a great game that everyone likes to watch, but it's important because it has historical significance. It's America's pastime, but also it connects you, because like Ray, it connects him to his father, therefore his family. Like that's Ray's like passion to live, a reason to live, like we just kind of covered. So he's describing, he's basically like admitting that, yeah, maybe my life is fair, maybe I was just focusing on the wrong thing. And he is, the proper thing, and as ridiculous as it sounds, the proper thing would be to focus on is something more like baseball, something with historical significance, and that brings you happiness, not something destructive and power hungry like politics.
So is the line of cars a visual of that connection?
It could be, or it could just, I never thought about that. That's an interesting thought. I've always thought it was just the ending guarantee that like everything was going to be okay. Like Ray is going to get this money, all these people, and that Ray has done something important. Like he's done, and not only that he's done something important, but he's established like a community. Because that's, as I mentioned, he doesn't have friends. He's not involved in the local Iowa farming community, you could say. But afterwards, after creating this field, it seems like there are going to be people visiting his farm to go to this baseball field, and therefore he's going to have to be involved. He's not only realizing he has to live in the moment now, but he's realizing he is a part of a larger community that's larger than himself, and he has to take care of more people than just himself.
Right.
Like we talked about before, he's not connected to anyone else before the movie starts. So it's kind of like a the final shot in the movie is like a justification for the rest of it. It's because we've already solved the fact of what Ray's answers he's searching for was, but the line of cars is the visual representation of what was to come, like what Ray's going to change about his life.
Right.
He's going to change that people are going to be more involved, like he's going to be more involved in his own life. That's how I always took it.
Jace?
I like that a lot. I didn't really understand, like with the line of cars, I don't know. It's like I was able to now that you say it, I can see like how that makes sense and how it's like, okay, if we charge $20 per person, then they'll come out here and they'll watch baseball, this and that. But like that happened like right after it was said, and then there's like huge line of cars comes in. But it was a cool visual effect, and I guess it is just kind of more like that it shows everything's going to be okay. I didn't really see it like that in the moment, but now that you say it like that, that's actually makes a lot more sense for me.
It's all about viewing the movie so many times you pick up on like thematic things.
Right.
And this movie it's not a literal movie. You're taking this as a big metaphor.
Yeah.
So the more you watch it, movies like metaphor movies, like there are a lot of movies I like that. I think that's kind of more my genre of movies that represent something else. So once you watch it, the more and more you seem to understand it more.
So was Terrence Mann a complete hiatus for Ray's story?
Hiatus meaning
Like he didn't need, because they were at the PTA meeting.
So like a distraction.
Yeah, or like not even needed, like just a complete accident.
I mean, you could view it like that. You could view it, like I said before, you could view it as just the directors and the producers wanting James Earl Jones in the movie because he is cool and his voice is awesome. But you could also view it as like, because that's the part about baseball, is Terrence Mann at the end of the day.
Right.
Because, like, you don't see a Major League Stadium in the whole movie without Terrence Mann, and you really don't see you see the baseball practice without him before, but you don't see the baseball game until after he's there on Ray's Field.
True.
So he's the whole baseball part of the movie. So I guess without him, sure, you'd be taking out a distraction of Ray's story, but you'd also be taking out the part of the movie that's about baseball. You'd just be like having a guy's story, which is great. I love that part of the story. But if you want to make it a baseball movie, you need James Earl Jones.
Interesting. And he's in The Sandlot, right?
Yeah, he is the grumpy old man.
Yeah. Okay.
Who lives beyond the fence.
So I wonder if he has a real life connection to baseball.
Possible. It's very possible.
And he is 92. I looked it up.
He's old.
He does not look that old.
I just haven't seen a recent picture of him.
The newest thing he's in is Coming to America too.
Really?
Yeah. I think, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but he does not look 92.
Morgan Freeman's old too, though, isn't he?
Oh yeah. I don't know how old he is. Him and Florence Pugh just made a movie together.
I'll tell you what weird movie.
Yeah. Jace?
That's good. I don't have much else to say. That kind of clears everything up for me. Okay, real quick. Are you guys going to go watch the Super Mario Brothers movie?
I'm down to talk about it.
Really?
Dude, I want to go see that. Really
I just have like a very nostalgic connection to Super Mario Brothers.
Of freaking Anya Taylor-Joy's, like what her voice sounds like. It sounds like it's as soft as silk. It's as smooth as.
So are you gonna start developing feelings for a cartoon character?
Dude, wouldn't be the first time it's happened. I'm not gonna lie.
Who's the first one?
I don't know, Lola Bunny.
Wow.
That was way back.
Were you a Looney Tunes show type of guy, not just Looney Tunes?
Like the Space Jam Lola Bunny, not the Looney Tunes show, but Lola Bunny. I didn't like that girl.
Okay.
Wow.
Only Space Jam.
Although that was a funny show.
I did like that show. It was a good show.
There's so many shows.
There are a lot of shows.
Or like that.
But I just had such like a nostalgic connection with Super Mario Brothers growing up. Like my whole family played that game.
Really?
Like summer days for me, when I'd be at my grandparents' house, would be my mom and my older cousin, because they were best at the game. I wasn't that good when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So my mom and like my cousin's like 5 years older than me, I guess. And he's 5 years older than me, so he's been like 13 or 14. I thought he was the coolest person ever. And my mom and him like almost beat the entire game in like a couple summers,
Really?
like afternoons. It's great memories. So
Wow.
just the whole Super Mario
On what
characters.
console?
Wii.
3.
So,
So my little cousin has got an old Nintendo 64.
mhm.
I was playing it on that, and he's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't think I could play this game. And he knows the levels like crazy.
hmm
He's really good at it.
Mario's fun, man.
When I was in elementary school, I had 3DS, Super Mario Brothers 2, and I was addicted to it. And that was the only game that I ever beat.
I think I had that game too,
Really?
honestly, on the 3DS.
The only video game I ever fully finished.
Oh, but what about Mario Party? Mario Party.
How about Mario Kart? Mario Kart, one of the
Yeah.
greatest games of all time.
I mean, that's known, but Mario Party
Yeah.
has got it all.
Didn't they have a Wii
Mario
Sports
Kart?
Mario edition?
Party. What'd you say?
Didn't they have like a Wii Sports
Oh, I've
Mario
never played
edition?
Mario
Like a Mario Sports?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
And they had that Donkey Kong game. I had that.
Mm.
Did you ever
I
play
saw
that?
no.
Like Donkey Kong Kingdom or something?
Dude,
They had a Yoshi
my
one
God,
too.
I
at the
know what you're
dentist,
talking about.
at the
Yeah.
dentist, in the waiting room of my dentist, they had the Donkey Kong game.
Donkey Kong Kingdom. I had that.
Dude, yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
bringing back memories.
How about? I think there was a Yoshi game too, though. Yoshi's World or
I
something.
never played any Yoshi.
I was a big Yoshi fan.
Um,
I was always Yoshi in Mario Kart.
yeah, I was.
When does that movie come out? Does that come out next week?
I think it's Friday.
Yeah, yeah. I was Yoshi sometimes. I was Wario sometimes.
Mario.
Wario, sorry. Speaking of, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I saw on one review that Mario Golf was not featured.
Oh, Mario Golf.
Oh my God! It comes out tomorrow.
Thursday, huh?
What's the is that Mario World where you like, you know what I'm talking about, JC?
No.
Where you're on the Wii and you're scanning over the world and you can go to different planets.
That's just Super Mario Brothers.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's Super Mario Brothers.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
And then there
The water planet, the ice planet,
Yeah.
the mushroom planet.
Yeah, you go to like different like,
Desert planet.
worlds, but it's really like that's just Super Mario.
No, that's Mario Galaxy.
Hmm. That's Super Mario Brothers. There's like 8
Dude.
levels too. 8 worlds.
I don't know.
I don't know,
There's a
man.
Mario Galaxy.
I just
though, right?
had
I-
I just
there
had
was,
Super
I never
Mario
played
Brothers
it.
2.
Mario Galaxy. You guys played Mario Garage Band?
No. They have this many Mario
I'm
games?
joking. There's no Garage Band.
That does not exist. Bro, they did have like I'm telling you, they had Mario Sports. Like, I guarantee
No,
they
I
had
think
Mario
so,
baseball
too.
at some point.
No, they had Mario Sports. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think it was more of all of Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like you can be like Sonic.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Hold on, I got this game for Christmas on the only white Christmas I've ever had. I got Sonic the Hedgehog Olympics,
Yes.
and Mario's in that.
Yeah.
Plays all the Nintendo characters playing the Olympic games, and it was so much fun on the Wii. I was
Dude,
probably
like,
8 years old.
Where are those games now? Like that's.
I
what-
swear they're still at my house. I swear I can get them.
Did y'all watch the Sonic movie?
Yes.
No, it's just I don't know.
I did. It was fun. I mean,
I didn't watch it.
Sonic never hit like that for me.
me
you know?
neither. But it's quarantine. All I was doing was watching.
I
that.
guess.
Yeah, but they're making. Wait, the second one already came out.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah. So, did you see Jack Black's suit at the premiere?
No.
He's got like it's Bowser themed.
Oh really?
He's got like
I saw him
Bowser
on
on
the
the
Kelly
back of
Clarkson
the suit.
show dressed up as Bowser. Did y'all see that?
I did not. I don't watch Kelly Clarkson's show, to be honest with you.
Okay, Nate, you don't have to make me feel bad about it.
So you guys didn't play Mario Party at all?
I remember that name.
No.
I feel like I did, but like I don't. I have no memory of the game.
Dude, Mario Party's
What was the?
I definitely
It's like Candyland, but like you're a Mario character, and
It
you.
was a video game though. It wasn't a board game.
Okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, no, it was. It's like it's on Nintendo Switch now, It's like you can go these different paths. You roll a die, and you can get 1 through 6, of course. Land on a spot that says like go back to or like punishment, but then you land on when someone lands on a certain spot, everyone goes into this challenge, and there's endless challenges to do.
I feel like I played at a friend's house maybe.
It's fun. I'd run it right now.
Really? Wow.
What was y'all's like go-to character to choose?
In Mario games,
Yeah.
I was always Yoshi.
I was also a Yoshi fan too. I like the
Yoshi's my
Toad
guy.
too. Toad's stand up for the little people in the world.
And that's part of my nostalgia for it, because my mom was always Mario, my cousin was always Luigi. Always.
Dude, I just don't know how they're gonna bring it all together in a movie.
It's true.
Dude, it's gonna be sick.
Like, what
I'm
the-
Well, I
so-
saw the premise is like that Luigi gets captured by Bowser, not Princess Peach, which I thought was weird. I was like, but that's not the story.
stupid.
The story is that Princess Peach gets captured and Mario and Luigi go save her. But I'm like, but maybe that's not politically correct to say
But here's
anymore.
the thing:
That
we
the
have to
princess
be
gets captured?
inclusive of everybody now. Now anybody can get captured.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Who's playing Luigi?
Oh, frick, I know this. But I forgot.
Oh
I'll have to
crap!
look it up. I will figure it out.
Here, I'll look it up so that you can figure it out.
Charlie Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that picture posted.
Oh my
on Twitter.
gosh, dude! Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is gonna be the best thing ever.
Is Donkey Kong?
That is gonna be-
Oh, I was also Donkey Kong alive.
Dude, I might
Keegan-Michael
just see
Key
it.
is
I might
too.
just see it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
I might do it.
JC.
Opening day.
JC, the next podcast is on you.
All right,
Donkey.
this is it. Super Mario, the movie.
I've heard Chris Pratt is kind of like
Are you announcing
goated
it
at
right
voice
now?
acting.
Are you announcing it right now?
No, I'll have to think about it. It
All right.
depends if I actually do go see Mario tomorrow, then we'll see. Maybe that will be it.
We'll post it on the Twitter.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter.
The Day's State.
The Day State. Pop it up.
We got some
It's
killer
right here.
tweets going up.
I'm not doing all that.
It's right there.
There's no one watching to this point except for us. But I was thinking, I want to get your guys' opinion. We can leave it on the pod as an outro. I don't really care. I think we might need to edit our titles to have the Day's State in it, and then like put a line and then episode or whatever and what we talk about.
That's fine. Or we could just do the Day State episode 4, the Day State episode 5, the Day State episode 6.
It's not that Day's State though.
Okay, Day State, and then a subtitle of what? Like what you have been doing.
Yeah, so that's what I basically just said. Just to get the title. in
Y'all
there.
are crazy, man.
How?
Yes, that's true. But what you're doing, like the title now for like episode 1 is bodies, 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 blank, 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 blank.
Yeah.
But you could just do Day State episode 1 title, subtitle, bodies, 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 blank, 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 and blank, blank, blank.
What's this one gonna be?
Definitely Mario.
Mario's got to be mentioned at this point.
Yeah.
What we talking about? Mario and AIDS?
Now we're blinking again. Mario and AIDS?
Yeah.
Shoot, bro.
Mario and AIDS. Yeah, we'll figure that out, but we'll look at what looks good, because I'm just thinking we got to get our name out there more. I don't know.
I just think the uniformability, or how the word, the uniformness of episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, episode
Yeah,
7,
but we
episode
gotta,
8.
without an audience, we gotta draw. We gotta draw like, oh, you like
True.
this movie? Come watch this movie, or this
True.
about this movie.
But-
And I think right now it's how we get more clicks.
How about this? No more like bodies, bodies, bodies. I think I have like stuff after that. No more of that. Just like Day State, episode 1, bodies, bodies, bodies. That's it.
See, I was thinking that, but then if someone really likes us and only seen one of the movies that we've done, they could see, oh, we talked about the whole Jonathan Majors thing, and they'll click on that, and then with our sections, they'll just watch the sections. Because like they could read the description, but how many people actually read the description before clicking on a video?
True. Or you could just put it on the YouTube thumbnail.
Thumbnail? Yeah. Could. I don't know. We need to look up.
I just like I like things that look uniform. So
I agree. We need to call Mr. Beast and get the algorithm.
facts.
Bro, haven't y'all
We can
taken
drop 2 hours and go see
marketing
him.
classes?
What'd you say, Daddy? I mean, Chase?
Haven't y'all taken marketing classes? Don't they teach you this shit?
Nope.
I'm a sport medicine major. I don't know nothing about that. I just know how to like create a dynasty and 2K17.
How are we supposed to be famous?
I'll give you a great custom team on a video game. That's what they teach me in college. That and how to like do sports stuff. It's really
And how to speed walk?
how to speed walk. Yep. I'm a speed walk champ.
Yeah, dude, you speed walk unintentionally.
I walked a 4.5 minute, 4.5 miles in 41 minutes.
It's pretty crazy.
Insane time,
Dude.
by the way.
Put him on the fucking Olympic team.
I really hope the video saves when the camera just dies.
I hope so too. If we're not, we just wasted the greatest podcast hour I've ever given you. That was like, I was on a roll.
Alright, so next week we won't have any problems. Shouldn't. Because I'll make sure it's charged fully.
Is JC gonna be
For
here?
sure.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
We said that last week, right?
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. I'm just giving you a little bit of sugar honey iced tea, brother.
I hope you can hear him on there.
No, you can't, because you can see the little, you see it in the bottom left
yeah,
when
yeah,
we're
okay.
talking, when JC talks.
Can y'all see me on the TV right now?
Yeah.
Bro,
I
you
can't see
put it
that.
up way too close to your face a couple of times.
Yeah, I was right here.
Oh yeah, I had to move you because I had to plug my laptop in. But yeah, we can still see you. Bro, yeah, we can see we can see your boogies.
K-State. Love
Yeah.
y'all.
Close us out, speaker boy.
Thank you to everybody who's watching. Next podcast will be out. Hopefully, we'll definitely be able to get it out next week. Thanks for listening. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. We love y'all.
Do a couple
Goodbye.
practice thumbnails for Will.
Signing out.
Signing out. Beep, beep.
Cutting it.